In June of 2014, a single barrel of oil cost $114. Today, the price is just $50. This drop is far beyond the usual fluctuations of price of this raw material, and beyond the predictions of pessimistic defenders of the peak oil theory. The theory that we are about to have a severe shortage because petroleum is always running out.
The estimated peak would occur about 1995, and we're going to decline.
The truth is that there are many different factors that suggest that the price of petroleum is going to remain low for quite some time. This is mainly due to two reasons. The first is the constant improvement of energy efficiency, meaning that we have a lesser need for energy. This is logical when you think that the group of OECD countries, that's the world's wealthiest countries, are using the same amount of primary energy as they used in the year 2000, but they are producing 30% more.
The US is the biggest market, with 40,000 plug-in cars purchased there in the first 6 months of this year.
A second reason is innovation and technological development, a field of expertise that is inherent to human evolution. This is a development that has occurred on two fronts, both fossil fuels as well as renewable energies. The best example of this might be fracking. This is a technology that has provided the world with a large amount of oil as well as natural gas. In fact, this technology alone has led to the US doubling its oil production. And currently, that country is producing more oil than it has since the 1970s. Now, on the other hand, the ecological impact of fracking is a highly controversial topic, but that's something we're going to address in a later video. Now, the reduced price of oil has been an incredible setback for Persian Gulf countries, where 85% of their revenue relies on this resource. Up until now, this has allowed for the payment of all kinds of bills. Citizens have got used to high levels of subsidies and allowances, while also getting used to not having to pay any taxes. Oil has subsidized everything: water, electricity, fuel, low-interest loans. And citizens have also got used to the idea that they have a right to a well-paid civil service job. Furthermore, countries in the Persian Gulf have got used to spending an enormous amount of money on guns. In fact, they've spent so much money on weaponry that Saudi Arabia now spends more on its military than Russia. This makes it the country with the third largest military budget globally. Further, we all know that oil money has paid for pro-Islamic campaigns all around the world. However, these pre-existing policies have become completely unsustainable due to the drop in the price of oil. In fact, in 2015 alone, oil-producing countries lost $360 billion in oil revenues. And this is all because of the hard drop in the price of oil. Now, don't get me wrong, they do still get an enormous amount of money from oil. Saudi Arabia, for example, gets around $5,500 per capita from its black gold. But despite this still significant amount of income, they are unable to maintain all of the subsidies that they have established. Because of this changing scenario, all countries in the Persian Gulf are announcing ambitious plans to diversify their economies. This will allow them to get some distance from their economies completely relying on oil. They are looking to follow Dubai's example, which has been one of the only countries to successfully transition away from a totally oil-based economy in the last 40 years. Because of this diversification away from oil, the Emirates is becoming a world leader in terms of tourism, trade, and logistics. Tens of billions of dollars are being invested into Qatar with the hope that it will become an economy of knowledge. They proudly show off their education city development, a huge educational complex where some of the most prestigious schools in the world can be found. There are also notable researchers working there with budgets that seem almost infinite. However, the most archetypical case is the one we find in Saudi Arabia, one of the world's most suffocating and terrifying countries. Human rights in Saudi Arabia are nothing more than an illusion. Women are forced to marry underage, and they can't even drive. Further, dozens of executions occur every year, and torture is quite routine.
Blasphemy, homosexual acts, treason, and murder are punishable by death through beheading in Saudi Arabia and Islamic State.
Further, the country has even banned theaters and nightclubs. In Saudi Arabia, religion and fundamentalism are more important than anything else. But their economic crisis cannot be escaped, and today they are facing a very complex situation. In 2015, the deficit was 15% of the GDP, and this continued into 2016. This is threatening to swallow up all of the money that they saved during the black gold years. Further, unemployment is becoming a major concern, and this is no more true than among young people. The unemployment rate is currently sitting for young people at around 40%. This is why in April 2016, Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the strongest man in the kingdom, announced an ambitious reform plan known as Saudi Vision 2030. The goal of this reform plan is nothing less than to transform the country's economy completely.
Say, look, this is a good plan. We need to diversify our way because of necessity. Otherwise, the country will have far more difficulties in the years to come.
The plan aims to achieve total independence from oil by 2020 and become one of the most globally competitive economies by 2030. The first step of this starts by privatizing Aramco. This is one of the world's largest companies, which controls 10% of global oil production. The company's estimated value is 5 times that of Apple. With all the money from that privatization, addition of foreign reserves, other privatizations of public companies, and its real estate, Saudi Arabia wants to generate a sovereign wealth fund of $2 trillion. This will allow them to get a more predictable and stable income than they are currently getting from oil. They also want to eliminate many of the subsidies that are currently threatening their economy and invest in new sectors like mining, finance, and importantly, the military industry.
Uber is getting a $3.5 billion investment from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund.
New taxes are also going to be introduced as another method of earning for the government. The prince also wants to change the higher educational system, which is currently closer to the Quran, and develop it to meet modern market requirements. But the big question has to be, is Saudi Arabia going to succeed? It is no easy task for a country to quickly become an industrial power, and it is unlikely that tourists are going to be drawn to a country which sees people regularly stoned for homosexuality or adultery. However, all of that said, Saudi Arabia's success will benefit the world no matter how repulsive we personally find their policies. 70% of the Saudi population is under 30 years old, and over the next 10 years, they're going to require 2 million jobs. We all know that when frustration, unemployment, and religious fundamentalism add up, the consequences can be truly dangerous to all. Dubai has proved that moderation and capitalism can lead to changes in fundamentalist regimes. We can only hope that Saudi Arabia can successfully follow the example that has been set by Dubai. But that is our opinion here at VisualPolitik. We want to know what you think. Do you think Saudi Arabia will succeed? Do you think it will successfully follow the example that has been set by Dubai? Do you think that capitalism can encourage moderation in countries like Saudi Arabia? Do let us know your opinion in the comments below. We're looking forward to reading them. And if you did like this video, why don't you give it a thumbs up below? It really helps us out. And don't forget to subscribe. We put out brand new videos just like this every Monday and every Thursday. So if you subscribe, you won't miss any of those. And I'll see you next time.